in terms of the Indian consumers, how is it going to impact? Are we going to see a spike in the oil prices? Will it impact the consumers? And how is it also going to impact the private companies like Reliance, who've been buying a huge chunk of oil from companies like Rosneft? And what about the public sector units like Bharat Petroleum, Indian Oil Corporation?
See, almost half of this Russian oil, which constituted about 32-34% of our imports of oil, was taken in by Ambani, and in his oil refinery, it used to get refined. So Ambani has made $5 to $6 billion worth of money in this process over the last few years. So obviously, Ambani is going to suffer. His stock prices come down, but that is not a primary concern to us. As a citizen, Ambani's stock price doesn't concern all of us. But what concerns us is that oil price has jumped by 5% in the international market yesterday, which means that oil prices could rise if Russian oil is restricted. And this means that since oil is an import and an input into almost every component of our economy, we'll find prices increasing across the board. There'll be more inflation and also maybe higher prices at the pump. We didn't benefit from lower prices.
Right.
We didn't benefit from lower prices. All of them either went to Ambani or the Indian oil companies, that is to the government revenues.
That's right.
But we may suffer from the oil price rise now.
No, but if we stop buying oil from Russia, and are we going to depend for oil on the Middle East? Are we going to depend then on America as well? America will obviously charge more. What will happen? Are we going to go back to the conventional Middle East markets? What is the option which India has?
Excellent question. And I would say that we are going to depend increasingly on American oil. And because we are going to depend more on American oil in order to please Trump,
it is going to come at a huge cost. No, but if you're going to depend heavily on America, it's going to come at a heavy cost for India.
Exactly. We are going to pay more for this oil in several ways. First, American oil is more expensive. B, you require different kinds of refineries to purify it. Third thing is the cost of transportation is higher because it comes from a larger distance. The cost of insurance is more because of the large distances of freight. So it's going to be much more expensive, and but we'll have to bear that cost in order, because we are not able to stand up to Trump. We are bending over to please him. So we'll have to now.
No, but what is
more
it?
American oil?
It's not like, is it what you said exactly, that we've compromised on our sovereignty? So is it like we've completely demolished everything what we had, and Modi government has not been able to stand up, whether it is their external affairs minister, whether it is a commerce minister, or for that matter, even the prime minister. And Prime Minister has been claiming that he's a 56 inches Prime Minister. He talks about being a Vishwaguru. Where have we reached today?
Well, this is a proven track record of the last 11 or 12 years. If you look at even the case of what happened with the Ladakh confrontation with China, the Prime Minister disappeared. When the conflict was going on, he didn't come. When he did come on TV, he finally said that nobody has entered, nothing has been taken, even though we know that Chinese troops advanced quite well into our patrolling zones, and we can't now access those patrolling zones. In fact, even the Samarak, or the memorial for our fallen Paramveer Chakra, Major Shaitan Singh, on which Farhan Akhtar is making a movie now, that memorial had to be moved in. We don't have access to those sites anymore, where he fell in 1962. And even there, that confrontation was exacerbated by the fact that we removed Article 370, even though it had already been heavily diluted, just in order to meet domestic electoral compulsions. So we finally paid a price because China didn't like that. China felt this was unilateral changing of the status of this area, of this Ladakh Aksai area, which it claims.
I'm just interrupting you here because there's a breaking news coming in that he might attend the 47th ASEAN Summit virtually. Now, what does that mean? I mean, he was initially scared. There were reports. In fact, Jairam Ramesh also had tweeted about it. But what does it mean now? He's going to attend the summit virtually? Is he scared of Donald Trump? Why is he staying away from the ASEAN Summit, which is so important for India?
This is not breaking news. It was known yesterday itself that he's not going there and he'll attend virtually. And the reason is pretty clear. he doesn't want to face Donald Trump. He knows the consequences of that. He's seen the kind of pressure Donald Trump applied on Zelensky. And apparently Donald Trump applied on him as well. If you believe Sushant Singh's article, he says that sources have told him that there was extreme rudeness on the part of the Americans towards our prime minister. And you could see that in his body language when he came out and was forced to take a press conference, which he never takes in the presence of Donald Trump. Not only that, but apparently our prime minister was made to wait about 6 hours in order for a meeting at the White House.
No, so does that mean that Modi will continue to avoid meeting Donald Trump now as much as possible?
Yeah, because he's expecting that there'll be further pressure on the trade deal. That is, we will have to make compromises on agriculture, on dairy, that we claim that we would not. And the Prime Minister at least publicly said he would not sell his farmers or undersell them. And we'll have to also make some compromises on manufacturing. And I think Donald Trump might even want to coerce, this is my feeling, Prime Minister on the Nobel Peace Prize, on the fact that he did the mediation. And he would want Prime Minister Modi to publicly acknowledge that. Because I think pretty much on the trade deal, India has decided to agree to Donald Trump's conditions, just like they have agreed on the Russian oil. So that can't be the main reason for why Prime Minister Modi is avoiding traveling. My feeling is the real deal is that he wants the Prime Minister to publicly acknowledge that Trump played a role in the mediation so that he can get his Nobel Peace Prize. And I think this is what is causing Prime Minister Modi to stay back and not go to for the ASEAN meeting.
Right. I want to put out a tweet of Jairam Ramesh, Congress leader Jairam Ramesh, and where he says that Modi proposes, Reliance disposes, Trump exposes. This is what the tweet he has written, and there is a picture from Reuters, and CNBC TV 18 has put it out, saying that RIL spokesperson says recalibrating Russian oil imports to align with India government's guidelines. Now, Mohsin, what I want to understand from you is how is Reliance going to respond to this now? It's basically a foreign policy failure, but Reliance has been benefiting so far with the Russian oil purchase. How is Reliance now going to react?
Well, Reliance benefited because of the Indian government, because of the Prime Minister's decision to go along with Putin. And therefore, now that those benefits will be shut off, that is also because of the Prime Minister's decision. So Reliance will have to just accept it, just like it accepted the profits. It will now have to also accept the seizing of those profits and the stop. What is the quid pro quo behind the scenes with Ambani? That's your guess is as good as mine. The public probably knows.
No, but Ambani seemingly is much closer to Donald Trump than apparently Prime Minister Modi. We should not forget that how Ambani attended the swearing-in ceremony. Even later, they met on the sidelines of few events. So, can Ambani really get his way with Trump?
See, Ambani he's a businessman. He keeps his doors open with everybody. So he went for Donald Trump's inaugurations, spent a lot of money because you had to buy that dinner table seat. And he will probably have some deals going on with the US and with President Trump specifically, because President Trump is that kind of a guy that you need to also cut special deals for him and his family, not just for the United States. So he's probably worked out something there. But it won't be enough for him to continue importing Russian oil. That he'll have to seize. And he's probably worked out some deal with our Prime Minister as well. As you know, election time is coming. We'll again need some funding for the election. So I'm not privy to what exact deals he's cutting. But sooner or later, we'll find out.
No, but has this Russian oil purchase episode messed up things for Prime Minister Modi further?
Yeah, I think not just for Prime Minister Modi, they've messed up things for India. India was hoping, or at least that's what we were being told by the Prime Minister and his Foreign Minister, that we are a swing state and we can sit in both camps and get the benefits and eat the chocolate and the ice cream and the cakes on both sides. But it appears, no, we'll get the punishment also on both sides. And now is the time for punishment, it appears. That is, I foresee that India's economy will suffer, prices will go up, and we could even be entering a recession. In fact, I would say the government and its statistical agencies will try to camouflage that, but sooner or later it'll be undisguisable. It'll become apparent. That is, with such expensive oil and with international markets all shutting down due to protectionist tariffs, it's not just Donald Trump. Other countries are following suit. They're also putting up tariffs. And China is flooding the international markets because it's not getting access to the US market. So it's making really cheap product because its currency is also devaluing, because China itself is entering a kind of deflation. That is, prices are falling in China because of slowdown in their property sector.
But
China
I'm
is
worried more about the larger picture now, Mohsin, which, I really want to talk to you about that. How are things going to shape up as far as India's relations with the superpowers or the other countries are concerned? If we are abandoning our old relationships, are we going to end up only being on the side of Donald Trump or on the side of America? Or if I may put out in very blunt terms, are we going to end up as slaves to Donald Trump or slaves to America?
Yeah, we seem to have compromised quite a lot with the upcoming trade deal and with these oil purchases with respect to the US. And I foresee only more compromises because Donald Trump is he has a very big stick which is still not wielded yet. That is tariffs on services exports on our global capability centers, which
So
JP Morgan.
are you saying no? Are you saying that beyond this oil purchase, there is something more sinister in the offing for India?
Yeah, I think the Prime Minister is being pressurized to first accept that the US was the main mediator and the secession of the Operation Sindoor with respect to Pakistan. So that would be actually quite a come down for India because we have never accepted anybody else's public mediation. But I foresee also that slowly we will be left without many other trade options. We'll have to be more and more dependent on the United States, because the United States can still, as I said, put tariffs on our services exports. The large number of BPO and global capability centers that we have for various companies, everything from JP Morgan Chase to Microsoft and Google, etc. So we are highly dependent on US services trade, also US technology, US arms, and also intelligence, because they provide us with intelligence on the China border, etc., satellite intelligence, signals intelligence. So we are going to become more and more dependent, and it won't be a relationship. It never was, and it will be even further not a relationship of equals. We will not be in a relationship of equals with the United States or with Trump, and it will become increasingly evident to the rest of the world also that all this talk of we being a rising power.
When you'll make a comparison of how the earlier prime ministers like Jawaharlal Nehru or Indira Gandhi, or for that matter, even Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, how they stood up, to raise their head and speak to America on their own terms, how will Prime Minister Modi end up looking like? That's my last question to you.
We have a glorious tradition of standing up to the US, whether it was Nehru or Indira Gandhi, or even Vajpayee for that matter, when he did the 98 nuclear weapons test, or Indira Gandhi when she did the 74 test nuclear weapons, or the 71 war, or whatever. So we have this long tradition, and it will be a sad day for India's sovereignty and India's pride caving in this way to the United States. We haven't done it, at least publicly that I know of, in this manner before. It will break new ground. So there are bigger blows ahead for us.
Very unfortunate though, but we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold and how India responds to this kind of a crisis. But surely it is indeed a serious crisis which India is into. Thank you so much, Mohsin, for joining on HW. Thank you.